To other news, it's certainly been a big week with the first sitting week of the 47th Parliament and the announcement of the 6.1% inflation figure. Australia has just seen its highest inflation level since the implementation of the GST. Joining me live is Patricia Howard, financial planner and author. How are you this morning, Patricia?
I'm very good, Janie. How are you?
Very good indeed. A lot to digest. Talk us through some of the main drivers affecting inflation, the cost of living and so forth.
Well, the main driver is really the war in Ukraine, which is causing energy prices around the world to go through the roof, as well as to put enormous pressure on global food prices. It just shows what a powerhouse the Ukraine nation is in terms of the world economy, in terms of supplying food, and also the impact that Russian energy supplies also have on the world economy.
So in terms of inflation, we're hearing the announcements this week. Do you think we've reached our peak? And when we're talking about, the big R word, recession, what are your thoughts?
I think everyone is expecting inflation to continue to climb until the end of this year. Remember, we look at quarterly figures and then they're counted up to give us an annual figure. So we've got more high quarterly figures to be included in the annual rate. So I think most economists are expecting the inflation rate to peak in the final quarter of this calendar year. We can also expect interest rates to continue to climb while that's happening. But hopefully in the new year, the new calendar year, we'll see inflation starting to level off and then to fall. Most economists are expecting the inflation rate here in Australia to get back under the 3% level by the end of next year. And once we do that, I think we're all pretty confident that domestic interest rates will also fall.
So do you think we will head into a recession? And if so, how do we compare the potential recession to what we've seen in the past?
Look, hopefully we won't fall into recession, but in many ways that's just a very technical economic word to describe 2 quarters of negative growth. For most Australians, even if the headlines do say that the economy has fallen into recession, for most Australians this time round, it will be a recession with not much of a bite. And I say that because most recessions in the past have been accompanied by very high levels of unemployment, often double-digit rates of unemployment, and no one is expecting that to happen over the next 2 years. In fact, Australia is facing quite a sustained labour shortage, and that should ensure that everyone who is looking for work should be able to find it.
And we just saw a story before about some of the big banks changing their loans. If you go to another provider, for example, you might get a lower interest rate. What are you seeing there, and what other support are the banks and other lending organisations offering people?
Yes, look, that's very interesting, isn't it? And I think we're starting to see the merits of the advances in financial technology really come to a fore. It's been happening for a long time. The big banks have all been improving their back office functions. And now we're starting to see that at the front counter, as if you like. So, for example, Westpac this week announced that they are moving towards a situation where they can approve new mortgages within 15 minutes, which is pretty startling. If you think back to the old days when we'd be filling out paper forms that would take weeks, if not months, to renegotiate or refinance our mortgage with a new lender. It's getting to a situation where that's something of the past, that anyone with a mortgage should really be reviewing it on an annual basis to make sure that they're getting the best rate that they can, in much the same way as they review their electricity supplier, their insurance suppliers, their private medical insurance supplier.
15 minutes sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It's startling, isn't it? But a lot of this is simply because computers around Australia are being linked up. What it does mean, though, is that everyone who does have a mortgage should be extra mindful to keep their finances in a pristine condition. They should make sure that they pay those credit card bills on time every time. They have a personal loan, again, make sure those repayments are getting paid on time, because now the banks can generate a credit rating for all your loans at the touch of a button. And that's what's enabling the banks to be able to approve home loans so quickly.
All right, and what other action can the individual take at the moment? We're seeing exorbitant prices all over the place. What else can we do?
Look, the most important thing is for people to stay optimistic. This bout of inflation, by all accounts, should be relatively short-lived. By the time we get to the end of next year, it should have worked its way through the system. So people should be mindful that living in an inflationary period, that you should be extra vigilant on how you spend your dollars. Perhaps now is the time to go out once a week less. Perhaps now is the time to put off travel, and just be mindful of your budgets. But I think most people are. You only have to do a weekly grocery shop at the moment to really feel the pain of this current bout of inflation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, and great information as always. Thank you so much, Patricia Howard, financial planner and author. Take care.
Thank you.